I want you to ask yourself a question. What does it mean to grow up? Within the world we live in, we're constantly bombarded with superstitions and concepts like aliens and the supernatural from an early age. Obviously, as we get older, we start to take a step back and think about such concepts realistically. We start to rely on logic to contradict our past heroes like Santa, be able to get by only working once a year, or time travelers and spies walking around us while they're on secret missions being completely unrealistic. So once again, I ask you, what does it mean to grow up? Does it mean clinging to reality and accepting a life among the ordinary, or trying to find the extraordinary in the ordinary lives that we live in? Either way, we can take whatever I said and throw it right out the window, because we're not ready to cling to such a melancholic reality just yet. Because today we are talking about my favorite anime, that being the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and more specifically the protector of the SOS Brigade, Yuki Nagato. Now, dear viewer, you're probably wondering, what even is the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya? And oh viewer, dear viewer, you have no idea how happy I am to show my love for this series. Anyways, the first light novel for the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya was published by Kadokawa Shoten on June 6, 2003, and ran by Nagaru Tanigawa. And it would later go on to get an anime adaptation on April 7, 2006, and a second season on May 1, 2009, along with a movie on February 6, 2010, all animated by the goats over at KyoAni. It will be a story following the adventures of the SOS Brigade and their search for the extraordinary.
But if any of you are aliens, time travelers, or espers, please come see me.
Honestly though, that outfit's killing me right now.
I love you.
Itsuki Koizumi. How do you do?
This is the SOS Brigade!
Anyways, to get more insight on that, firstly we have our commander herself, Haruhi Suzumiya, who honestly is a childish brat 95% of the time, and a pretty self-absorbed dictator, though through her slight backstory, we learn her drive to find wonder within the world resides in her realization that everything she does has probably been done before. Also, she's kind of a god, but don't worry about it. Next is Kion, who is our sarcastic narrator and protagonist of the series. Out of everyone within the school, he is the first person Haruhi chose to align herself with, most likely due to his ability to get closer to her, as his more pessimistic attitude bounces off well with her optimistic outlook. I'd love to say more about him, but that'll have to wait, as he's very relevant to our main star of the video. Next we have Itsuki Koizumi, who is a mysterious and always smiling transfer student. He's secretly an Esper, don't worry about it, and works with his agency to dispel the many closed space monsters that Haruhi creates whenever she's sleeping or in a bad mood. Then we have Mikuru Asahina, who is a time traveler from the future. Again, don't worry about it. Sent to keep an eye on Haruhi as 3 years in the past, she somehow created a time quake that somehow ceased their ability to travel any further back than the specific time. As the mascot of the SOS Brigade, she's typically used for Haruhi's twisted sense of comedy relief. And finally, we have the main focus of the video, that being Yuki Nagato. Nagato is part of the data integration thought entity, aka she's an alien. She has been sent to Earth under the orders to keep an eye on Haruhi Suzumiya and ensure that nothing goes wrong. Don't worry about it. I promise you I'm not insane. Anyways, jokes aside, honestly, taking a step back and truly looking at her psychology as a whole, I've uncovered probably one of the most tragic characters I've seen in fiction. In this video, I'll be covering 2 arcs from the series that build up Nagato's character, those being the Endless 8 arc.
No. Wait.
And the Disappearance arc. Oh cool, I get to say this for the first time, so I gotta make sure not to mess it up. Okay, I got this. If you want to see more videos like this, please consider liking and subscribing. It's the best way to support me as a creator. Oh, with my Patreon. That was a joke. That was a joke. I was kidding. Or am I? But for real though, please don't give me money. I very much don't deserve it. Anyways, I'll admit this was pretty long for a prologue, but even so, I promised I'll do my very best to make the analysis as engaging as possible and do one of my favorite characters in fiction the justice she deserves. And with all that out the way, let's begin. Now, if you've never watched the series or know about the grueling adaptation that was The Endless Eight, then you probably don't understand my meaning within the prologue. To give you a bit of background, Endless Eight is an arc that takes place during the last 2 weeks of the SOS Brigade's summer break. The brigade spends 2 weeks hanging out and doing fun tasks together that Haruhi plans. And on the second to last day, when they decide there's nothing left to do, Haruhi gives them the next day off. But on that last day, the clock never hits 12 AM. Instead, time is rewinded back to the beginning of those 2 weeks. The worst part about it is that Kyon, Mikuru, Koizumi, and Haruhi don't notice the time rewinding. And every time they notice the loop, that number continues to go up higher and higher. This seemingly endless loop is finally broken through Kyon finally speaking up on the second to last day and claiming that things aren't over yet before Haruhi leaves. He explains how everyone still hasn't finished their summer homework yet and how they should all hang out and blow through it together on the last day. Even though she doesn't show it, this makes Haruhi happy deep down and finally allows the summer loop to end. Now, the reasoning behind the backlash it initially got was due to KyoAni, aka the GOATs, taking this arc that was initially 1 chapter and breaking it into 8 different episodes. And wait. Before you jump to conclusions, let me explain why this was the perfect choice. Oh right, priorities. Alright, I'll make sure this relates to you too, so don't worry. Alright, so the reason I believe KyoAni's portrayal of Endless 8 was sheer perfection was due to just how much effort and time they put into it. They, no joke, animated every single episode as if it were a fresh one in reality, because it was. You can notice from the clothes everyone wears to the tasks they do within every loop, and even in their mannerisms or dialogues.
We worked in the sun, sweat pouring down our foreheads. For that? Worked in the sun, sweat pouring down our foreheads. For that?
Heck, even the voice actors were told to re-record practically the same lines for each episode as nothing was meant to be reused throughout the episodes. And I'll admit, as someone who despite its many flaws loves this show to death, I kinda hated it initially while going through it. It was a drag, it was boring, it was, give me a second. It was monotonous. Although after giving it some real thought and coming to terms with myself, I also have a soft spot for this arc due to its ability to masterfully aid in the setup for the Disappearance arc. See, I told you it was all get around back to her. Now let's play a game of Test Your Memory. The question for tonight is, which of the SOS Brigade lost their memories as the loops went on? Was it A, Haruhi, B, Kyon, C, Mikuru, D, Koizumi, E, Nagato, or F, A through D? And congratulations! If you chose B, then you get the honor of patting the backs of those who chose the letter F as they had a better memory than you. But truly understand what this means. Nagato didn't lose her memories as the loops went on. And honestly, I still treat my past self like an idiot for not truly noticing what this entailed. On the last episode of Endless 8, aka the last loop, Yuki revealed that this loop was 1 out of 15,532, and after doing some math, that means she experienced 592 years of the same 2 weeks. And honestly, thinking about it truly is heartbreaking. Yuki had to go through this isolation for what possibly felt like an eternity without the ability to truly confide in anyone, nor the ability to know when it'll end. Hell, even though in each loop she revealed the truth to the members excluding Haruhi, that doesn't even equate to the psychological support she would most likely need from this experience. And this is why KyoAni did such an amazing job with this adaptation. They want us to feel annoyed, they want us to get angry, they wanted us to despair, to feel helpless, to say make it stop, all for our words to be truly meaningless in the face of the sick god's wish. It wanted us to feel what Nagato felt. It wanted us to feel complex emotions that couldn't be accomplished through 2 to 3 episodes. And wanted us to feel a small glimpse and a taste of the hell Yuki was forced to go through due to someone else's wish. And in my opinion, this art works as the setup, the catalyst, for the choice you would make on that hill during that harshly cold winter night of December 17th. Now, in typical anime experience fashion, I turned this talk about a single character into a sort of retrospective of my favorite arc within all fiction. But as I would much rather save that for a future video and am kinda short on runtime, I'd much rather prefer to tell the story from Yuki's perspective. Now keep in mind, we learn all these things towards the end of the movie, so if you'd like to enjoy one of my favorite films of all time, completely spoiler free, I understand if you want to tap out. Just be sure to come back afterwards, or don't, it's legitimately up to you. Anyways, now that those guys are gone, come along whether you're a fellow Haruhi enthusiast or someone who doesn't mind being spoiled. Now, from past Yuki, we learn on the night of December 17th, an error in her code will go off, leading to her changing the world, completely draining Haruhi of her powers. Though before the deed is officially done, she leaves a clue in the club room for Kyon to find. After all the time they've spent together throughout the series, she believes that he is the right person to decide which world he prefers, the fake or the original. And if you think about it, her reasoning for picking Kyon makes perfect sense. Now, you could just chalk it up to her simply falling for him, and that being the reason. And honestly, I couldn't blame you, because that's fair enough. Though I feel like that isn't specifically the case here, as in my eyes, it's because out of the entire brigade, she relates to him the most, or more so, she quite possibly envies him. A plot point I'd like to connect this to is what False Koizumi says when Kyon explains his relationship with Haruhi.
Makes me jealous.
Now after this, we can get some insight on our version of Koizumi's inner feelings on Kyon as well, possibly drawing a line of understanding that Koizumi truly does feel jealous about Kyon's closer relationship to Haruhi, someone his organization sees as a god or even untouchable. And I bring this up because it's the stark opposite of why Nagato may envy Kyon. Kyon has never not been vocal about his discontent with most of Haruhi's different brigade activities, and under the surface, it's implied Yuki may have felt the same. Though you have to remember, Yuki is only there to complete a task. She has no right to scream, speak up, or voice her opinions that may go against Haruhi's. And that's why I believe she may have some form of envy towards Kyon, even if not majorly. Because he has the ability to stand next to Haruhi as an equal and voice his opinions on anything he thinks sucks about her schemes. Which is why I believe she thought it'd be best to allow him to decide. Make it so that only he has his memories of the original world. Make sure that the clue was in a place that meant something to both him and her, and put faith within the world he decides for the both of them, as he never truly chose a path that she disagreed with. So what would change now? The changes made would include making it so those in the SOS Brigade were normal students who don't know each other, along with Haruhi and Koizumi being stationed in a different school entirely. Something also to note is that there seems to be a harsh cold going around, one that wasn't present before she changed the world. Though one of the most major changes both Kyon and the audience weren't ready for was definitely the False World's version of Nagato. We're gonna refer to her as Yuki, alternate, or Yuki A for short, and we'll call the original Yuki Nagato to refrain from confusion. Alright, got it? Yuki A is this world's version, Nagato is our world's version. Now, Yuki A is a stark contrast to Nagato, where Nagato was coldly composed and her face devoid of emotion carried by those truly allowed to live. Yuki A was a shy and timid girl, who got flustered easily and struggled to speak up, though Kyon crashing out probably didn't help with those traits. And honestly, Yuki A as a character makes sense, and I can understand why Nagato rewrote herself like this. She wanted to give Kyon a version of her she couldn't conform to. A girl who's very expressive with the aid of KyoAni's amazing animation, a girl who's human and normal in every way, as shown through her having a blanket now instead of reading in the cold club room unfazed, and someone who deep down knows what she wants, to spend time with him. Yuki A represents everything she internally wishes she could achieve, the being that she believes Kyon will accept and smile with. She wants to free him from Haruhi's cage, free him from this hell that feels suffocating to her, allow them to enjoy the moment in this winter wonderland of... He doesn't pick it. Nagato manifested the clue within the false world so that Kyon felt like he had a choice, though you could tell from the snowing rooftop scene that she was wishing deep down he'd chosen her world, the one free from Haruhi's endless torment. Though despite being this otherworldly entity, she couldn't factor in the one thing that would stop her perfect dream. Kyon had fun. Kyon, through all his whining and complaining, truly did enjoy his time in the real world, and just like every winter, it must pass by and allow spring to take the spotlight. I learned this from Icy Jelly, but Haruhi's name stands for spring, or a spring day to be more exact. And I don't think this coincidence between two characters could be any more artistic. Nagato and Haruhi are two sides of the same coin, characters who feel completely isolated within the world and are built upon doubt when it comes to their identities, though the way they go about this is heavily different. Haruhi pushes down that doubt in an attempt to find something that allows her to become special, like spring allowing all the different flowers to bloom under the radiant sun, while Nagato allows her self-doubts to increase through ignoring such emotions, embodying a cold winter that allows the snow to pile up until something below eventually snaps. This parallel between them encapsulates the two worlds that Kyon must pick, Haruhi's or Nagato's, and with Kyon picking Haruhi's world, that meant that her attempt to free them from this cage she imagined had failed. And it's all perfectly wrapped up in her and Kyon's final talk on the hospital roof, as in my opinion was the best way to close out her character for the film. When Nagato tells him about how her superiors will probably take her away due to the error, Kyon snaps. He even tells her to send a threat to her superiors for him, claiming that if they take her away, he'll reveal everything to Haruhi and they get her back. Kyon's declaration is important because in my opinion, it's a checkmark that symbolizes Nagato's growth. At the beginning of the movie, Koizumi and Kyon note that Nagato has been changing slowly, and if you look back at the series, it's true, and to see someone stand up to her superiors for her, it may have acted as a boost in confidence and understanding. Though she didn't keep her false world in the end, she was reminded that there are people who love her the way she is and are willing to do everything within their power to protect her, and I feel the best place to end things off would be in the beginning of Volume 7 of the light novel, where Kyon, Mikuru, and Nagato go back to the past to save past Kyon on that night from Asakura. Sorry, gonna be honest, time travel is hard to explain and talk about, and it's kind of funny that during a Nagato analysis, I even talked about Asakura, but that's honestly because I feel Asakura might dictate an analysis bit of herself. Future thoughts, future thoughts. Anyways, when Nagato shot herself with the correction code and it requested to synchronize data, Nagato denied it. Even Kyon was shocked at the development, considering Nagato rarely voiced her own opinion on most matters. But I see this as her taking steps to come into her own person, not into what her superiors have coded her to become. Her rejection of synchronization can be seen as a rejection of that version of herself and the beginning of a rebirth arc for this troubled alien. Anyways, that's all from me. I would totally include a credits and legitimate afterword, but I generally don't have time due to my busy schedule and the deadline I set for myself. If you have any critiques to either the information or the overall video, I'd honestly love to hear them. I'm attempting to cut down runtime to also be capable of releasing these more often. Hopefully I can figure out how to keep average times of 15 to 20 minutes ideally, with passion projects being a bit longer, but I digress. Anyways, once again, I'd like to appreciate it if you subscribed. Road to 1K by the end of 2026 is in full effect. And Happy New Year's Eve, and I'll see you in 2026.